Saints helps remind us that Christianity is more of a communal religion than it is individualistic religion. It's more about us than about me. It's more about we than about I. And that's not to say it's not personal, it certainly is. But it's exercised in the community of believers called the church. And this has been this way since the very beginning. Jesus taught, where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst of them. And he called his group of followers the church, which means a congregation, an assembly, those who are called together. And we see that he also gathered 12. When he sent the 72 out, he sent them 2 by 2. And so he expressed this need, this desire for all of us to be one and to exercise our faith communally. We hear about it also in the rest of the scriptures. In the book of Revelation, whenever there's this vision of heaven, there's always a tremendous crowd, and they're always unified. It's not just one person in God, it's everybody together. And St. Paul even mentions this in many of his letters. He's always encouraging people and talking about how we are fellow believers, we are brothers and sisters in Christ. And when we celebrate the saints, we also sometimes do it in pairs or in groups, in bunches. Earlier this week, we had the feast day of Saints Simon and Jude. Sometimes we have the feast day of like St. Andrew Dunlop and companions, or the Blessed Martyrs of Compiègne. We even know of saints that are always paired together, like St. Francis and St. Clare, St. Vincent de Paul and St. Louise de Marillac. And so we see it's a communal thing. And this is something that we need to keep in mind, because oftentimes today we can think of it that it's just about me, and Jesus, or something like that. And individualism is kind of like a national virtue for us as Americans, but it's not always helpful, especially in the practice of our faith. And so we know we've heard people say that, it's me and Jesus and my Bible, or I don't need to go to church because I can stay home and worship God there. And I'm not trying to take anything away from a personal relationship with Christ or praying and worshiping at home, but we need each other. We need to do this in community. We need to resist the urge to make this individualistic and just about me. It needs to be about us. And there's even a drift in our whole understanding of religion. There's a sociologist at Notre Dame, his name is Christian Smith, and he said, we used to think about religion as a communal solidarity project, something we do together, achieving a common goal. And now we see it as a personal identity accessory, where it's something like, if you like that, it's good for you, you can have that. But we need to make it more, as I said, communal. And this is really important. And so one of the things that is important to this is that we help each other, that we encourage each other. St. Paul says this very clearly, encourage each other every day. Don't absent yourself from the assembly of the Christian faithful. We need to encourage each other. There are people that maybe it's difficult for them to come to Mass on their own. And so maybe we could think about them and call them up and say, I'm going to go to 8 o'clock Mass. You can come with me. You can sit next to me. Afterwards, we'll get donuts. Or if we are the type of person maybe that would like to have someone come with us, then reaching out and saying, hey, can I sit next to you? Would you save me a spot? And we need to just do this for each other and help make this a more of a communal effort. And there's some groups of people that I think it's even more crucial for. And one group I'm thinking in particular is like our young adults that are from maybe the age of 18 to the point where maybe they have kids in school. This time period, it's difficult to practice their faith, and then maybe they need the encouragement of others. And so we can all come together, work together to live out our faith, because that's how Christ intended it. Not to be on our own, but to be together with the community of believers. And so today, as we celebrate this Feast of All Saints, let us keep our eyes fixed on Jesus, walking together to the kingdom, and may he bring all of us together to everlasting life. At the end of Mass today, because it is the first Friday of the month, we will have our First Friday devotions. Now, it will take about 15 minutes. So I realize that some people need to go, no problem. But if you can stay, I would encourage you to do that. What will happen is we'll have our final prayer, and then we'll kneel down and kneel before the Blessed Sacrament. We'll say our devotions to the Sacred Heart, which are on a piece of paper. There might be some in the back or on the side if you'd like to participate in that. Then we'll pray one decade of the Rosary. Then we'll have benediction and conclude, as I said, about 15 minutes after the conclusion of Mass. If you need to get up and leave, totally understand. Just try to do so quietly as not to interrupt. Let us stand for the Creed.